Okay, my name is Nicole Denamer. I'm the owner of Sustainable Strategies, and I work a lot on healthy office spaces and have been getting a lot of questions from law firms in particular about the impact of their office space. So, wanted to answer some of those questions in a quick video. So, I'm a sustainability consultant, but I'm also a lawyer, and I litigated construction and insurance cases for more than a decade before launching this company. So, I understand what it's like, and I'm also really pleased to see the lawyer well-being movement really taking off. But that said, there's a key aspect that's often left out of conversations centered around health and wellness, and that's the impact of your office space. And it matters more than you think, and it also intersects with diversity, equity, inclusion work. So let me explain how and why that is. Your office space is a physical manifestation of your firm's values. So ask yourself, what does your space say about you to employees, clients, and guests? Is it a welcoming and safe space? Or does it exclude certain users and prevent other users from doing their best work? Because ultimately, everyone deserves the right to an office space that sets them up for success. But unfortunately, most office spaces simply do not work for everyone. Additionally, many health and wellness policies that firms are adopting as part of this attorney health and wellness movement, which is great, are unfortunately not being fully realized because the physical office space does not support the end result. So let me give you two quick examples. One, your firm may have just implemented a new parent policy. Great. But if you don't have a proper space to support new parents, that policy is meaningless, or your new parents aren't going to get the full value out of that policy. Or, second example, your firm might encourage employees to take mental health or meditation breaks throughout the day. This is great. But if you don't have a space for them to do that, that policy is meaningless, or your employees aren't going to get the actual benefits. We see a lot of times these disconnects between policies and intents and physical office design, and being more mindful of our office design is a way to kind of close that gap and actually create alignment. So with all that context in mind, I want to go through three specific examples of why your office space matters. First, air quality. It's a big one. We spend 90% of our time indoors. If you want to scare yourself, take your age, multiply it by 0.9. That's the number of years that you spent inside, and then immediately go outside. This is problematic for a variety of reasons, but one of them is that the levels of common pollutants can be 2 to 5 times and up to 10 times higher indoors than outdoors. We trap ourselves inside with all these pollutants that we bring inside. And air quality significantly impacts not only our health, but also our performance. So let me use some research to help explain why. Some folks at Harvard and Syracuse conducted a study called the Cog Effect Study. And basically what they did, and kind of breaking it down here, is they took a traditional baseline office building, tested the cognitive performance of a variety of knowledge workers, had that baseline, and then they reduced the VOC levels and tested them again. VOCs are one of the most common indoor pollutants, volatile organic compounds. So when they reduced those VOC levels, scores improved by 61%. Then they took it a step further and they reduced those VOC levels, and they also increased the ventilation rates. You could think of this as the functional equivalent of opening a window. Cognitive scores then improved by 101%. What's even more important, particularly for law firms, is that the largest increases in cognitive scores were in the areas of crisis response, information usage, and strategy. If you want to set your people up for success, air quality is a big part of that. If you want to check out the research, it's right here. You can do that. Second example, thermal comfort. There's a growing body of research that demonstrates there's a very narrow range of temperature that supports optimal human performance. That varies based on who you are. In fact, researchers at Lawrence Berkeley Labs found a 10% relative reduction in performance when the temperature fell out of that optimal range. So there's a bunch of different reasons why air in commercial spaces need to be kept at a certain temperature, but completely ignoring or brushing off some of these valid concerns with respect to temperature has significant and disproportionate impacts on performance. This is because thermal comfort standards, which govern facility operations in most commercial spaces, most office spaces, at least in the US, and I'm using the language of the researchers here, but are based on clothing choices and metabolic rates of men in the 1960s, so wool three-piece suits. Yet the metabolic rate of women can be up to 32% lower. So again, everyone deserves the right to be able to do their best work, not distracted or uncomfortable work because the temperature is too hot or too cold. Maybe you've experienced this. I know I've experienced this, being distracted or frustrated when it's just really cold in a space, or grumpy and uncomfortable because it's too warm. We need to set everyone up for success. Buildings play a large part in that. We can do things like allowing employees choice to adjust their environmental conditions, move to different spaces within an office space, provide portable heaters and fans, or even allow for a flexible dress code. So there's all kinds of different ways that we can set everyone up for success in different thermal environments based on their needs. Third example, inclusive design. Office spaces hurt and exclude certain users, and that really needs to change. Buildings tell us in all kinds of different ways whether or not we're welcome. So let's take a little bit deeper dive into that. Restrooms. We can and should create more inclusive restrooms. Research from the 2015 Trans survey found that more than half of respondents avoided using a public restroom in the past year because they were afraid of confrontations or other problems they might experience. More than half of people avoided using a restroom, and nearly a third limited the amount that they ate and drank to avoid using a restroom in the past year and avoid those problematic situations. We can create more inclusive, safer restrooms, explain how to do that, full stop. We can do better, we need to do better. Second thing, traditional office spaces, as I mentioned, only work well for certain users. They set other users up to fail. There's a variety of office design strategies that have been developed that actually provide support for a neurodiverse workforce. These range from lighting and acoustics to texture, pattern, and spatial organization. Many of these strategies are just grounded in choice, and they benefit everyone who moves through the space. We can create better, more inclusive spaces that set everyone up for success through office design. It's a good thing, and we need to do more of it. Additionally, many of these strategies align with common ESG metrics. So office design can and should support larger environmental, social, and governance goals, as well as risk management strategies. And I get asked this question all the time. How do we bring our folks back to the office? Really good way is to show them that you value their health, wellness, and safety by taking a look at your office design. So I get asked a lot of questions. So here's kind of the top 4. Does our office space align with and reflect our values? Think about that. Do our employees and clients feel safe, welcome, and supported in our office space? Does our office space provide for and complement our broader DEI work? Does our office space provide choice and options with respect to working conditions and location? Really, that means you have quiet spaces for focused work, soundproof spaces for privacy or meditation, or communal spaces for collaboration or more creative work. There's lots of different ways. Your office space really matters. Question for you is, what does yours say about your firm? If you don't know, drop us an email. We can help.